You keep choosing the same painful relationships. You know better, but something inside pulls you back to partners who hurt you. Jung discovered this isn't bad luck. It's a psychological program running in your unconscious called the Mother Archetype. And the moment you understand how it controls your love life, everything changes. This pattern can be stopped. But first, you need to see what's really happening beneath the surface. The pattern starts earlier than you think. Long before your first relationship, long before your first heartbreak, something was being programmed into your psyche. Jung called it the mother complex. But this isn't just about your actual mother. It's about an internal psychological structure that determines who you're attracted to and why you keep getting hurt. Here's what most people don't understand. When you're young, your relationship with your mother creates a template, a blueprint for love. If that relationship was painful, if love came with conditions, if affection required you to sacrifice yourself, your unconscious mind learned something dangerous. It learned that love equals pain. That intimacy requires self-erasure, that to be loved, you must suffer. Jung discovered something that still disturbs therapists today. Empaths don't just remember this childhood wound, they recreate it, over and over, with different faces but the same dynamic. You're not choosing these painful partners randomly. Your shadow is choosing them with surgical precision. The devouring mother left you hungry. She loved you, but her love consumed you. She needed you to need her. Your achievements were her achievements. Your pain was her drama. Your identity was her extension. You learned early that to receive love, you had to give up yourself. To be accepted, you had to disappear. Now you're an adult. You're attracted to people who need saving. Broken people, dramatic people, people whose problems are so big they eclipse your own needs entirely. And it feels right. It feels like love. Because love, to your unconscious mind, has always meant making yourself smaller so someone else can feel bigger. The absent mother left you empty. She was physically there, but emotionally gone. You performed for her attention. You achieved for her praise. You became perfect, hoping she'd finally see you. But she never did. Not really. Her eyes were always somewhere else. Her mind was always on something more important. Now you're an adult. You're attracted to emotionally unavailable people, distant people, people who make you work for scraps of affection. And it feels like a challenge. It feels like if you just try hard enough, achieve enough, prove enough, they'll finally give you the love you're dying for. You're still performing for your absent mother, but now she wears a different face. Jung called this repetition compulsion. Your unconscious mind doesn't want you to move on from your childhood wounds. It wants you to go back and win this time, to finally get it right, to prove you're worthy of the love that was always conditional or absent. So you choose partners who mirror your mother wound. Not consciously, not deliberately, but with the precision of a heat-seeking missile, you find the exact person who can recreate your original pain. Because your shadow believes that if you can make this person love you, it will heal what your mother never could. But here's the truth that will set you free. You can't heal a childhood wound through an adult relationship. The love you didn't get at 5 years old can't be retrieved from a romantic partner at 30. You're trying to solve an old equation with new variables, and it will never work. It can't work, because the person you actually need love from isn't your partner, it's you. Jung documented patient after patient trapped in this cycle. Empaths who gave everything to partners who gave nothing back. Empaths who stayed in relationships that were slowly killing them. Empaths who knew better but couldn't leave. He realized they weren't weak. They weren't naive. They were operating from an unconscious contract written in childhood. The shadow contract says this: if I suffer enough for you, you will finally love me. If I sacrifice enough, you'll see my worth. If I tolerate your worst behavior, you'll eventually give me your best. If I'm patient enough, loyal enough, understanding enough, you'll transform into the parent who finally chooses me. This contract was written when you were too young to know better, when you had no power and no choice, when your survival depended on getting whatever scraps of love were available. That contract made sense then. It was adaptive. It kept you alive in an environment where love was scarce and conditional. But you're not that powerless child anymore. You don't need to accept conditional love. You don't need to earn basic respect. You don't need to audition for affection. The shadow contract that protected you as a child is now destroying you as an adult, and the only person who can tear it up is you. The negative mother complex shows up in specific ways. You have no boundaries. You can't say no. You feel guilty for having needs. You apologize for existing. You prioritize everyone's feelings except your own. You give and give and give until you're empty. And then you wonder why people take advantage of you. Empaths aren't broken. They're alchemists in progress. The Alchemist's Path gives you drills, Jung-based boundaries, and 3 exclusive chapter videos to turn overwhelm into clarity. By Surreal Mind, 236-page downloadable ebook in stock. Begin now at thesurrealmind.com. But they're not taking advantage. You're offering yourself up. The negative mother complex taught you that your value lies in your usefulness, in what you can provide, in how much you can tolerate, in your capacity to absorb other people's pain without complaint. You learned that love is something you earn through service and suffering, not something you deserve simply by existing. So you become addicted to fixing broken people. You're drawn to projects, not partners, to potential, not presence. You fall in love with who someone could be if they just had enough love and support. And you're convinced you're the one who can provide it. You're the one who can heal them. You're the one who can love them into wholeness. But broken people don't want to be fixed. They want to stay broken in the presence of someone who will tolerate their brokenness indefinitely. And you will, because tolerating pain is how you learn to give and receive love, because suffering feels familiar, because dysfunction feels like home. The moment you recognize this pattern, something shifts, not immediately, not dramatically, but a crack appears in the structure, a tiny opening where light can enter. Jung called this recognition, the first stage of healing the mother wound. You stop believing the story your pain has been telling you. You stop thinking you're unlucky in love or cursed in relationships. You start seeing the pattern, the repetition, the unconscious recreation of your original wound. Recognition is painful. It means admitting you've been complicit in your own suffering. Not because you're weak, not because you're stupid, but because you've been operating from a program installed in childhood. A program that no longer serves you but continues running because you've never consciously interrupted it. Every painful relationship was an attempt to heal the mother wound. Every sacrifice was an unconscious prayer that suffering would finally earn you the love you've always needed. Every time you stayed when you should have left, you were that small child hoping that if you're good enough, quiet enough, helpful enough, Mother will finally see you and love you without conditions. But recognition isn't enough. Jung knew this. You can understand the pattern intellectually and still repeat it emotionally. Because the mother wound isn't stored in your thinking brain. It's stored in your body, in your nervous system, in the deep unconscious structures that drive behavior before thought ever occurs. So Jung developed a second stage, integration. This is where you stop analyzing your wound and start feeling it, really feeling it. Not the pain others caused you, but the original pain, the childhood abandonment, the emotional neglect, the conditional love, the impossible standards, the feeling of never being enough no matter what you achieved or sacrificed. Integration means letting yourself grieve what you never had. The mother who saw you, the parent who made you feel safe, the childhood where love wasn't something you earned, but something you received simply because you existed. Most empaths skip this grief. They intellectualize, they explain, they understand, but they don't feel. And what isn't felt can't be healed. When you finally let yourself feel the depth of what was missing, something breaks open, not breaks down, breaks open. Because on the other side of that grief is rage, holy, righteous, clarifying rage. Rage at the injustice of a child having to earn love. Rage at the impossibility of those conditions. Rage at having to be small so others could feel big. Rage at sacrificing yourself and never receiving what was promised in return. This rage isn't destructive, it's diagnostic. It tells you where your boundaries should have been all along. It shows you what you should never have tolerated. It reveals what you deserve but haven't been demanding. The rage burns away the shadow contract. It incinerates the belief that your worth depends on your usefulness. It destroys the program that says, love requires suffering. But Jung discovered that this cycle breaks the moment you do one specific thing. You stop looking for mother's love in a romantic partner. You stop trying to heal a childhood wound through an adult relationship. You stop making your partner responsible for filling a void they didn't create and can't fill. Instead, you do something that sounds simple, but feels impossible at first. You become your own mother. Not the mother you had, the mother you needed, the one who sees you, the one who protects you, the one who loves you without conditions, the one who doesn't require you to be perfect or useful or self-sacrificing to deserve care. Jung called this mothering the self. It's the moment the empath stops projecting the need for a mother onto everyone around them and starts meeting that need internally. You stop seeking external validation and start generating internal approval. You stop looking for someone to make you feel safe and start creating safety within yourself. You stop waiting for permission to exist fully and start granting yourself that permission. This isn't selfish, it's structural, because until you can mother yourself, you'll keep seeking mothering from people who can't or won't provide it. You'll keep creating relationships based on need rather than want. You'll keep choosing partners who trigger your wound rather than partners who respect your worth. Mothering the self means developing an internal parent who speaks to you the way you needed to be spoken to as a child, with patience, with encouragement, with unconditional acceptance. When you make a mistake, this internal parent doesn't shame you. When you have a need, this internal parent doesn't dismiss you. When you set a boundary, this internal parent doesn't guilt you. This internal mother says things the external mother never did. You're enough. You don't have to earn my love. Your feelings matter. Your needs are valid. You deserve respect. You don't have to sacrifice yourself to be worthy. Your existence is inherently valuable. You can take up space. You can say no. You can choose peace over drama. At first, these words feel foreign, almost ridiculous, because they contradict everything you learned about your worth and your role. But you keep saying them. You keep practicing them. You keep catching yourself when you slip back into old patterns and gently, without judgment, redirecting yourself toward the truth. The shadow integration comes next. This is the part most empaths resist. Because shadow integration means acknowledging something uncomfortable. You wanted the pain, not consciously, not deliberately, but a part of you chose these painful relationships because pain felt like love, chaos felt like passion, drama felt like depth, dysfunction felt like home. The shadow chose suffering because suffering was familiar, because your nervous system was wired in childhood to associate love with anxiety, intimacy with uncertainty, connection with conditional approval. The relationships that felt calm and stable felt wrong, boring, empty, like something was missing. What was missing was the pain your body learned to associate with love. Shadow integration means forgiving the part of you that chose pain. Not because you're weak, but because you were wired that way. You're not defective. You're not broken. You're not addicted to toxic people because something is wrong with you. You're operating from a program installed before you had conscious awareness. And now that you see the program, you can rewrite it. You forgive yourself for staying too long, for giving too much, for accepting too little, for making excuses for inexcusable behavior, for believing potential instead of recognizing pattern, for thinking your love could fix someone who didn't want to be fixed, for breaking yourself trying to heal someone else. This forgiveness doesn't excuse the harm others caused. It releases the harm you caused yourself by staying in situations that required you to abandon yourself, by prioritizing everyone's feelings except your own, by making yourself small so others could feel big, by tolerating disrespect, dismissal, and cruelty because you believed that was the price of love. The healed empath looks different, not on the outside, but energetically. They still feel deeply. They still sense what others can't sense. They still perceive the hidden emotional landscapes of every room they enter, but they're no longer a sponge. They're a mirror. A sponge absorbs everything, every emotion, every need, every problem, every pain. It soaks it all up until it's heavy and saturated and has no capacity left for itself. The sponge empaths walk through life carrying everyone else's psychological material and wondering why they're exhausted. A mirror reflects. It shows people what they're projecting. It doesn't absorb. It doesn't take ownership. It doesn't make other people's feelings its responsibility. The mirror empath can witness pain without wearing it, can see dysfunction without fixing it, can recognize manipulation without engaging with it. This shift from sponge to mirror happens when you stop believing that absorbing other people's pain is the same as loving them. When you realize that carrying someone's emotions doesn't help them process those emotions. When you understand that making yourself responsible for another person's healing actually prevents them from taking responsibility for their own growth. The healed empath has boundaries, real boundaries, not walls, not defenses, but clear, energetic lines that communicate this is me, and that is you. My feelings are my responsibility, and your feelings are your responsibility. I can witness your pain without owning it. I can care about your struggle without solving it. I can love you without losing myself. These boundaries feel selfish at first, cruel even, because you've been trained to believe that love means endless availability, that caring means constant sacrifice, that if you're not exhausted, you're not trying hard enough. But boundaries aren't barriers to love. They're the structure that makes sustainable love possible. The healed empath chooses peace. This is the shift that feels most foreign, because peace feels boring, stable feels empty. A partner who treats you well feels like something's missing. Your nervous system, wired for chaos, keeps scanning for danger, for drama, for the familiar pain that signals love. But you catch yourself now. You notice when you're creating problems where none exist, when you're testing a healthy partner to see if they'll abandon you like Mother did, when you're picking fights because conflict feels more intimate than contentment, when you're mistaking the absence of pain for the absence of passion. You rewire slowly. You practice staying present when things are calm instead of sabotaging peace because peace feels dangerous. You learn that boredom isn't a relationship problem. It's your nervous system healing. It's your body finally relaxing because threat isn't constantly present. It's the signal that you've stopped choosing pain. The excitement shifts. Drama becomes exhausting instead of exhilarating. You realize you spent years confusing anxiety for attraction, red flags for passion, love bombing for genuine interest, the highs and lows of toxic relationships for depth and intensity. But that wasn't love. That was your mother wound seeking its mirror image. Real love feels different. It feels steady, consistent, safe, present. A partner who shows up, who follows through, who respects your boundaries instead of testing them, who sees your worth without you having to prove it constantly, who loves you on your average days, not just your exceptional ones. This kind of love doesn't trigger your wound, it heals it. And that healing feels uncomfortable at first because it's unfamiliar. The healed empath stops performing, stops auditioning, stops trying to earn love through achievement or sacrifice or usefulness. They exist without apology, take up space without guilt, have needs without shame, say no without explanation, choose themselves without fear. This isn't selfishness, it's self-preservation. It's the radical act of treating yourself the way you've always treated others, with patience, with compassion, with the benefit of the doubt, with unconditional acceptance. You stop being your own worst critic and become your own best advocate. People notice. Some people are relieved. They've been waiting for you to stop sacrificing yourself. They've wanted to love you without feeling guilty for all you give. They respect your boundaries because boundaries make relationship roles clear. These people stay. These people matter. Other people are furious. They lose access to your endless giving, your tolerance for disrespect, your willingness to absorb their pain without complaint. They call you selfish. They say, "You've changed." They're right. You have changed. You've stopped enabling their dysfunction. And they hate it. These people leave. These people were never really there for you anyway. They were there for what you provided. The healed empath doesn't chase the ones who leave, doesn't try to explain or justify their boundaries, doesn't apologize for choosing themselves, doesn't feel guilty for having limits. They understand that some relationships were only possible because they had no boundaries, and relationships that require you to have no boundaries aren't relationships, they're exploitation. Jung's most painful discovery was this: the mother wound can be healed, but only by you. Not through the perfect partner, not through enough therapy, not through finally making mother proud. The healing happens the moment you stop outsourcing your worth. Stop seeking external validation. Stop making other people responsible for filling a void they didn't create. You become the mother you needed, the parent who sees you, who protects you, who loves you without conditions, who doesn't require you to be perfect or useful or self-sacrificing, who celebrates your existence, not your achievements, who values your being, not your doing. This is the death of the empath's oldest story, the one that says love requires suffering, that intimacy demands sacrifice, that to be chosen, you must make yourself small. That story kept you trapped in the same painful pattern with different faces, but now you see it. And what you see clearly, you can finally change. The mother archetype no longer controls your relationships. You're not unconsciously seeking mother's love in every partner, not trying to heal childhood wounds through adult connections, not staying in painful situations hoping that loyalty will finally earn the love that was always conditional. You've broken the pattern, not by finding the right person, but by becoming the right person. The person who knows their worth, who trusts their perceptions, who respects their limits, who chooses peace over chaos, who values stability over drama, who knows that love shouldn't hurt. If you are ready to heal the mother wound, subscribe. The journey from unconscious repetition to conscious choice starts the moment you see the pattern, and you see it now. In The Alchemist's Path, perception training for empaths, you'll turn overwhelm into wisdom with practical drills, Jung-inspired boundaries, and step-by-step perception training. This guide includes 3 exclusive chapter videos to deepen each lesson. Written by Surreal Mind, 236 pages, beautifully designed 8.5 by 11 downloadable ebook, in stock now. Start your training today. Feel deeply while thinking clearly. Get The Alchemist's Path thesurrealmind.com. Thanks for watching. See you in the next dimension. If you like this one, you'll love this next video.